Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome as it's round 8 and the penultimate round of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 4 Championship, live from Monza in Italy, the Cathedral of Speed. It's going to be fast, furious and frantic, but realistically it's no different to what it's been all season. I am Tim Cox with Samila Kume in the virtual production trailer right now, joined by Aaron Smith as always. Aaron, bit gutted, missed that last week. Moving house got in the way, but back with a bang, and well, great action last week. Unlike we've had all season, bit of a change of format this week as well, to just add a bit of, an extra bit of intrigue and twist to the tail for the drivers, shall we say. 2 races rather than the usual heat formats, and also with an inverted grid in that second race. Big overtaking opportunities around Monza, always is. I can't wait for this one. I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think this is going to be even more make or break than next week at Long Beach. I think just because of the chaos that this race always produces, no matter what series you're running, this is going to be the deciding round for the championship for most people. If you can just keep it together on the track and maybe give up 1 or 2 spots just so you can securely finish the race, I think that's going to be crucial for some of these drivers, the likes of Bergerson in Pro and in the AM Championship as well. I think it's going to really heat up as we're in qualifying at the moment, where these drivers get to do the exact opposite and go full send around every corner.
Certainly do, and draft trains starting to emerge. It's going to be... Yeah, I think definitely some teams working together, most certainly. You can already see that. They've got the TNT cars together, just up ahead of them as well. Everyone's going to be working together. You don't want to be at the front of that train, otherwise you're going to be losing time and hand over fist. It's the Score X cars at the front of this train. Right now, Zambra. That's the bit of the initial surprise during qualifying. That's just one of the cars falling to the back of that train. I didn't quite catch who that was. Oh, that's a 182 there. And, wow, there's Zambra all the way down in 11th at the moment, the Swiss driver.
Yeah, and you can see from here that he is at the front of this pack and choosing not to use anyone's slipstream. And I think this is going to be his first proper lap but he's not going purple at the moment, which is not that surprising considering he's not in anyone's toe. But yeah, you can see the massive train behind him. And yeah, this is Monza pretty much summed up in one picture. Just slipstream, slipstream, slipstream. In practice, qualifying, and obviously in the race, it's just cars following other cars and waiting for an opportunity. We're going to see Zambra cross the line now and see where he is in the pecking order. He moves up to 5th. Considering he didn't get a toe, I don't think that's too bad.
It's a real division as well emerging. Bergson, Amor and Heron, really clear of the following pack. Kamala is what, some 5/10 behind Heron. That's a big old margin that those top 3 from TNT, obviously, Heron being from the sister team to Bergson and Amor, but even so, I mean that is a lot in these cars around this place.
Yeah, it is a huge advantage, and this is the thing with qualifying, especially open qualifying in this Apex series, that it can really produce some spicy qualifying sessions, especially at tracks like this, and even at Fuji we had last week, where the slipstream down that long straight that goes on for infinite time, it seems, in these Formula 4 cars. It's I mean, last week it was kind of hit or miss whether you went for the slipstream, but I think here you have to. Otherwise, I mean, we know how quick Zambra is, and he's 8/10 off, which is a huge chunk of time. And I don't know I know exactly what's going on here. Ferguson's trying to slow everyone up, isn't he?
Oh, there's accident. There you go. And that was it's Aidan Young, thank you. There we go. His name eventually came to me, who ended up with a car in the back of him, and well, that's not helping him because looking at the clock, 7 minutes 30. It's a hard and fast shut here. No overtime in qualifying, so that's things done and dusted for him, and he's not going to go in time on the board, so he's going to start right at the back of the grid. Is the American. As coming across the line is Zambra, and you can just see how that not having someone to slipstream off, how much that is affecting him here, because he's been fighting, with the likes of Bergson, Amor, and Heron at the front all season long, and been arguably quicker than them, but with no one to slipstream off, still remains half a second. But there we go. That Paradon just nicely putting it up onto the second row of the grid. The Portuguese driver to go 4th. Great lap from them. Well, just looking at the times, Aaron, this is, well, there we go, that's lap done. So that's Van Paradon's lap done. And qualifying done for them as well. They're straight into the pits. So now we'll see Kai back here trying to get it through. Well, wrestle it through De La Roggia and the run through to the 2 Lesmos. Not going to help him whatsoever, the German. I can't see him really improving on that one. Although they did go quicker in the second sector, set a new personal best through there. But, I mean, that big, it's all it takes, isn't it, Aaron? You know more so than myself. There's one big moment, a bit of a squiggle coming out of, whether it's Retfilio, De La Roggia, or Ascari, and that's it, your lap's done and dusted. You've lost time.
Yeah, all it takes is one little mistake, and someone's made more than a little mistake there as Luritsen thinks better of it, and it pulls off to one side. But interesting to see where Kaibak is, and as you said, he was going fairly decently in that first sector, but at the moment hasn't improved in any other sectors. He's gone a bit quicker in Sector 4, but he comes around Parabolica now, and he's not got anyone's toe. I imagine he might be able to put himself ahead of Luritsen, but I don't know if he'll be able to get on the back of Caponio and Kamala. But he crosses the line now. We move up a place. He does. He gets ahead of Luritsen and moves ahead of the AM driver and puts himself into 8th place, which isn't too bad. But I mean, a second off first, that is a huge, huge gap.
As you see, Russell go 2nd in class, 10th overall. The death there, and interesting as well, Kamala set the fastest second sector of anyone on what essentially was like a lap that he was never going to complete because the clock ran out, as it now has done. Let's take you through your grid for the first race of this evening. 25 minutes And Bergson starts on pole alongside his teammate Daniel Moore. Archie Heron's got Van Paradon for company on row 2. Row 3 sees Zambra and Kolomala line up alongside another. Then it's Caponio and Kai back on row 4. Row 5, an all-am row with Loritzen and Russell to round out your top 10. Then it's Son Poggy and Griffin Himwazette on row 6. Row 7 sees Chris Kirk. Also fellow Brit Tom Minot. Garrett Spence, he's got Top for company. Row 7, row 8 is Walsh and Wilkinson, another all-British row with Nick Polliard and Strice running at your top 20. And row 10, then it's Weisakor and Presley and Aidan Young not setting a time. Well, actually, our last 5 cars not getting times in. Neither did Lennart Schnabel and Paul Joseph Klist. I mean, some big casualties there. It's going to be about sort of damage limitation. Top 8, of course, inverted from the race results from race 1. So 8th place will get promoted for pole for race 2. First will obviously move down to 8th. Everyone's shuffling around in accordance. And, well, I think, like you say, Aaron, we're speaking about it, especially in the build-up. It's all about just keeping it clean, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. And for some of these guys fighting for championships, and maybe some people just trying to get into the fight for the championship, it's going to be crucial that they keep their nose clean into turn 1. And these 2 races that we have today are fairly long, so we're going to see some different approaches compared to the rest of the season.
We are indeed. Race 2, in fact, is 5 minutes longer at half an hour. That's going to be interesting. Just waiting for the last 2 cars to take to the grid. Just waiting on Aidan Young, who has not taken the grid. He's going to start from the pits. But let's find out. Let's get ready to go racing for the first time this evening from Monza in Italy in the Apex Racing Academy Formula 4 Championship as we are green and we are going. Bergson did not get the best of starts, and look at them all streaming through. And Van Paradon coming along for the ride on the inside line there. So race down towards turn 1. Who's going to get the whole shot? Who's going to be ahead? Well, it's more ahead of Bergson as they all try and squeeze their way through and navigate their way through. But Van Paradon is up a place. Great start from him. Archie Heron's dropped 2 places with Zambra also get ahead of the Brits 2. Just looking further down through the field, Cadence Presley, what an opening lap while he was having. He was up 4, nice, dropped 2 places. This was side by side, Loritzen and Russell as we head down towards De La Roggia for the first time this evening. Onto the brakes, there you go, the 2 AM drivers, and it's Loritzen who's going to emerge. Well, it's where he started in 9th ahead of his competitor. We're all trying to squeeze 4 wide, nearly there. That would have been a bit brave, and there's contact through the first Lesmo, but they've all got away with it somehow, Aaron. But look at Loritzen, he's got a great run on them all.
Yeah, Loritzen was absolutely shot into this battle there. He was around half a second back, and oh, we've got a big crash. That's a huge crash. That's around 4 or 5 cars involved there, and that's Schnabel, crucially, from the back of the pack.
Spence in there too.
Yeah.
Young did get going, actually, out of the pits. That might be an inspired move. Let's take a look at the replay. So, there is in the red, black, and white. Well, Schnabel just rise at the scene of the crime. Spence was, well, already heading skywards and onto his roof. So that's his race 1 done. That's his Weisakor 2. So I think it might have been a bit of contact with Weisakor and Spence potentially, and that's what initially caused it. Meanwhile, back to live pictures, and they're 2 wide, trying to make it 3 wide down in towards Parabolica. I mean, oh, Larissa running incredibly wide. Is he going to pick a slowdown just running that wide there?
I don't think he will. The slowdowns at this track are fairly forgiving, apart from turn 1. They're going 3 wide a little bit further up. But yeah, Loritzen rather left just out to dry. He's just ran wide around that final corner and couldn't get anyone slipstream. But hello, another 3 wide. Everyone's battling out for positions on this second lap. Everyone getting into turn 1 now. Kirk on the outside manages to squeeze past Struess, and they managed to get through there without any contact. But this is the battle a little bit further up for second place, as Bergeson's not actually keeping tabs with a Moore. And yeah, I mean, these guys are definitely going to want a piece of the pie as they go into De La Roggia, and they end up the same way that they entered. And Bergeson needs to get his head down. 8/10 already.
Wow, that is a big old margin here. We're only 1.5 laps into the first race of this evening here from Monza. It's tight at the top, I can tell you that for certain, except for the exception of Moyes. So to just get away from these guys. And what can he do if he can break that draft? And you have to wonder, is he going to end up clearing off into the distance, the Brit? Mates, we see still plenty of racing left here, still 22 minutes left on their clock, and there's an aggressive move in the background there. Wow, I think that was Heron being squeezed wide by Kaimak, it was indeed. I mean, there's pushing, and then there's, well, squeezing incredibly hard.
Yeah, it might be a few words said about that after the race, but Heron's going to have another go, and Kaimak still being very aggressive on the defence, maybe a little bit too aggressive, but you know, he's on the edge of what's allowed in racing, and he's going to keep the position on the inside as we go around the final corner. It's going to be interesting to see out of Heron and Kaimak who gets the slipstream of Caponio, and at the moment it's going Heron's way. And I think Caponio now might need to play a little bit of mind games with these guys behind. He's giving one driver the slipstream, then the other, to sort of evenly distribute the speed that he's giving them, and hopefully make them not close as much as they are. But I mean, he's rather left helpless with you know, that huge gap in front of him, around two and a half seconds. And yeah, this is Monza for you. It's absolute chaos.
Oh, it most certainly is indeed. Look, oh, so he's up to a more. He's dropped. Look at all that time he's lost. He's lost 0.6 of a second somewhere out on track. It all happened in Sector 1, in fact, I can tell you. So clearly got it a little bit wrong coming through Retafilio. And all of a sudden, what was a healthy commanding lead has now diminished into absolutely nothing. And Bergson breathing down his neck. Does have the benefit, though, more of Bergson being his teammate. And Zambra's going to look to try and pick these off one by one, but don't discredit Van Paradon. He's shown epic pace so far here today at Monza. What can the Portuguese driver do? Can he be the thorn in all of their side and disrupt this top three? It's hard to know where to look right now. There's so many key battles happening out on track. Russell's got ahead of Laritsen in the lead for Ab. Those two have swapped around from where they started. Also, a big gain as Clistis up 7 places into 18th. He's had a cracking couple of opening laps, and just seeing Karen now go for the move on Caponio. Oh, the Italian squeezes him onto the brakes, into Parabolica, and then nudges him out wide. But that could have ended in tears very, very easily.
Yeah, well, we've seen plenty of times throughout the season that this F4 car is basically made of titanium. It can take a hit and a half. But this is the battle we've got for the lead going on between 4 drivers. Don't remember the last time I said that. It's going to be tight into turn 1.
Contact.
I think there's contact between, I think that was Amor and Zambra getting a little bit very, very close into turn 1 and 2. And the slipstream battle is going to continue down Curva Grande as we head into the second chicane, with Paradon sort of just waiting for an opportunity for anything, as Amor and Zambra still side by side. And Zambra is just nudging ahead, but is on the outside for this next corner, trying to make contact, and there is. But he's just managed to keep it on. And wow, Zambra, very surprised that he was able to keep that on. But I wonder if he's got any damage.
Does that mean, look, Bergson's opened up a 1.3 second advantage, made that 1.4 seconds. In fact, as they head out of the second Lesmos, and Heron is starting to really close in. He's really shaken off Caponio, and all this battling up front is really playing into the Brits' hands. He's going to be back onto the back of these if they scrap away a little bit more. Ooh, and also, he's bringing along, well, not the same rate of pace, but Caponio and co are coming along for the fight too. This could all compress up again, Aaron. And we're only 7 minutes in. We've still got a lot of racing left to do here.
Yeah, this is the beauty of Monza, isn't it? It's just, especially in these lower ranking Formula cars, it's just chaos all the time. And you have no idea who's going to be ahead of who on the next lap. And you know, we've got plenty of time left in this race. We're only 7.5 minutes in. And yeah, we still got a battle going on for second. This is going to be interesting between Paradon and Amor. And they're not quite in the slipstream range of Bergerson up ahead. So this is just going to be a straight fight into turn 1 and 2. Who's going to be later on the brakes? I think Amor just nudging ahead. Paradon leaves the inside for him. He's going to try and get a better exit and get the slipstream down Curva Grande into the Della Roggia.
nose to tail. Nothing to separate these two right now as Van Paradon all over the back of a more. Is this going to be a lunge out of the slipstream? No, Alex just to dip back in again. Does the Portuguese driver. But this is very uncomfortable moments. And look, the prep is telling, isn't it? As a more runs wide there out of De La Rogia. And now talking about pressure as well, Heron is up onto the back of Zambra. I do worry and wonder if he's carrying maybe a little bit of damage there, Aaron.
Yeah, I wonder as well. Not quite sure what happened. I mean, in the background, I saw them go nearly 3 wide, which was just, I mean, yeah, but bit early for that. I mean, we're only 8 minutes in, and people are already going nose to tail. I mean, it's absolutely lovely to watch, and I'm sure everyone at home also is enjoying this battle. But hey, Heron has caught and passed now Zambra for 4th place, and yeah, this is what happened with Zambra a few laps ago when he made contact with, I think it was a Moore, and just slipping back now. And I wonder if they might try and work together to catch up to the group ahead. It's going to be a bit of an ask for these next 15 odd minutes, but I mean, they've got to do something and got to do it fast.
Just while you were talking there, Aaron, I was trying to look really, really closely at Zambra's car. I can't see any damage. Unless he's got a bit of floor damage maybe, and that's what's causing the distinct lack of pace that he's experiencing at this stage in the race right now. So Laritza, they're trying to get a move done. He's dropped back a few more places. That's Strauss ahead of him as Camponio and Kamala having a bit of a trade of places just ahead of them. But always getting desperate and lungy into the break-around zone. Everyone jockeying for position. And Russell's going to lose a place there to Strauss. He's now up. Of course, he didn't set a time in qualifying. No, apologies. His last drop 2 set a time in qualifying, in fact. It was our back 5 that didn't. And he's now up an incredible 10 places into 10th. He is absolutely, he's the Flying Dutchman right now, if there ever was one.
Yeah, he's on a big charge, and, well, you can overtake around this circuit, and hey, he's on an absolute charge. But this is the battle going on for the lead, and and Russell getting very squirrely on the entry, and is actually round, and that's in the... Oh, he actually just managed to keep it out, but has lost 6 places, I think, there. That is not good at all. But hey, this has opened the door for Minot to just come through and say, hello, I want to be involved, and takes the lead in the AM category. And Minot's come from absolutely nowhere, but as a result of them battling, it's 2 seconds up ahead now.
Mentioning as well, obviously Young started from the pits after not setting a time in qualifying. He's now up into 18th as the pro driver. So was that tight there between the top 2 in AM. It's ahead of the Kaibat's got ahead of the Camponio. Yeah, I can just see him in the foreground there. They're all side by side. Wheel-to-wheel action, plenty. Ooh, even up at the 2 wide, and then a 3 wide behind them. Oh, this is, you don't want to almost not look, because it could end up in tears for some of our drivers, but they all sort themselves out, and then they go 3 wide on the exit of Parabolica.
Yeah, they are fighting so hard right now, and this is making me lose my breath. It's absolutely incredible stuff. And like I said before, you just don't know who's going to end out on top. You really don't. It changes every single lap, and it's so much fun to see as Kamala and Kaibak go side by side into turn 1. Kaibak's a little bit later on the brakes, but oh, there's contact, and Kamala's round, and that's going to cause an absolute cluster. And that's Caponio without a front wing. That's another car off, and that is Kaibak's challenge to this race pretty much over. He's got some damage on that car, and I think Kamala and Caponio also have damage. Yeah, he's not got a front wing. That's a rather disastrous end to that battle, but you could kind of see that coming.
While we were just seeing that epic action there, Larissa's got back ahead of Minot in the lead for AM. Van Paradon's up into 2nd and hunting down Bergersen after Bergersen had that massive lead. Zambra's still behind Heron and utilising him to tow him along. Kamala and Hinrosette are battling and swapping places pretty much every corner. Ooh, I mean, to be fair, I think if we had 6 different images on our screen, live images right now of all of battles going on, we still would not be able to cover absolutely everything here for you.
No.
Because everyone trading places up and down the field, it constantly evolves and manoeuvres around at half race distance now. Bergson leads from Van Paradon and more, although if that top three is going to change because Van Paradon's right onto the back, coming out of Parabolica here. There's Heron, Zambra, Kamala, Himzet, Strauss, Lorenzen, your leader in that, Minot rounding out your top 10 with Kirk. That last podium place in Am, although they've got Poggy right on their tail. And the Moore sitting back a little now as Van Paradon going for the lead. He's on driver's left of Bergson, who's going to have the inside line as a sweep, but he just backs out of it. And he gets it. Van Paradon takes the lead for the first time this evening and bouncing us across the curbs.
Yeah, these top three are constantly battling, and I think Bergerson on the previous lap had a really awful lap. He lost 6/10, and that's Hinz was there in the gravel, and that was kind of reminiscent of Lewis and Verstappen last season, and I think he's got some damage to that F4 car, and has also lost a bit of confidence there. He's down to 12th, and promotes Luritzen and co behind. Up another place, and the AM's going fairly well so far in this race. Luritzen, Minot, Kirk, and Poggy all having a fair income race, as Aussie people would love to say. But yeah, I mean, this is the battle for AM, so this is going to be just as important as the battle for the lead in terms of the championship, and they're going to be fighting this one right until the very end. We've got about 10 minutes to go in this race, and it's nowhere near over.
Well, and also, that 8th place, the lead in AM, is incredibly crucial right now because, well, there's been instance up ahead of them. Our top 8 are inverted for race 2. That means Luritzen would be starting ahead on pole, and he would have 7 pro drivers between himself and Minot if we were to end the race right now, come the start of race 2. Although I get the feeling that's going to change and evolve constantly, as we've still got another 10 minutes left on the clock, around about another 5, maybe 6 laps here. Who's going to take it? And it's going to go absolutely any which way. I mean, those top 3, they can afford to battle. They've got a big old gap. You just see him in the background there, just heading out a camera shot to Heron and Zambra, who, just having a little look at the lap times, aren't really making any impression. In fact, they've lost a couple of attempts on these top 3 on the last lap alone. So they can afford to battle. They can afford to have a good old elbows, old scrap as there's contact before they even reach the braking zone there. As Luritzen and Strauss side by side on the run into Retafilio onto the brakes, and they all emerge out the other side, all in one piece for now. Strauss is up 13 places. He's an absolute flyer as a TNT driver, but by not, he can sense a chance of being on the front row in race 2. But the way they're racing so aggressively down towards Retafilio, maybe Minot's just thinking right now, these two, it's going to end up in tears. It's going to end up in tears, and I'm just going to pick both of them off in one foul swoop. And he's got the time to be able to sit and play this one, you know, the thinking man's game, as the phrase goes. You know, just try and just observe what's happening, what's going to happen between these two, and then pick one of them off. He only needs one place to get himself on that front row. And whether it's Strauss or Luritzen, I'm sure Minot does not care one little bit.
Yeah, I think Luritzen has got... he's in a bit of an awkward position right now, and he's going very wide through Ascari there. That's going to give Minot a big chance. He's lost like half a second to Strauss ahead, which is going to throw what I was about to say completely out of the window. And I think Minot is sensibly going to wait for the main straight, as overtaking into Parabolica isn't really ideal unless you're on the final lap. But what I was going to say is that I think Luritzen's in a bit of an awkward spot because he'd like to get ahead of Strauss, who it would give him a buffer between him and Minot, but at the same time he might want to catch up to Kumala ahead, which Strauss is doing wonderfully on this lap and has actually got back into the slipstream. But I think Minot actually might be working with Luritzen here. He is. I think he's giving him a little bit of a bump down this main straight and trying to catch back up to the Dutchman ahead.
So they all remain as they are, and I think it's just finally, I mean, it's moments away from kicking off once again here at Monza, but just settling down and people starting to think a little bit long term now. However, saying that, Minot looking for the long way round, right round the outside, just making Luritzen think about it, trying to miss his braking spot, throw him off this line. He saw Luritzen, he's starting to, fall for it a little bit. You saw him go defensive there into De La Roggia and start to move around, and he's caught a bit too much curb there as he headed into the second part of De La Roggia. And I get the feeling that, you know, maybe, just maybe, if Minot can keep applying that same pressure, he won't have to even go for an overtake. It feels a little bit like the Danes just... And maybe he's starting to feel it. And also they can see the way that Strausston is scampered away up the road and now right onto the back of Kulmala.
Yeah, I agree. I think this lap, Lauritsen has looked rather skittish, especially on the exit of De La Roggia. He just looked... I think he was paying too much attention to his mirrors because he slipped onto the grass a little bit. So you can tell that Minot is getting into his head. And it might be just a matter of time. Oh, there you go. There's Minot going for the move on the Dane into Parabolica. I said last lap this might not be an ideal overtaking opportunity, but he's going to go for it anyway. But like I said, I don't know if that's the smartest idea. Is look at the run that Lauritsen's going to get. He's going to have the inside line for turn 1. And I think the smart thing to do for Minot would be to actually lift off the throttle now, possibly tuck back into that slipstream and try and get a run on Lauritsen, which I think he is doing. But just did it a bit too late.
But we've still got another three laps, I'd say, left here, Aaron.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to be the car following the car behind. As we see Russell right now, that's Young ahead of him, and, well, also Kaibach. And I tell you, Young's had a cracking run. We've mentioned about that before. He's now 9 places into 14th. Russell did lose a bit of time. I think he might have come off track a few laps ago because he did lose a whole heap of time and had a couple of places in doing so. A real shame for him. However, up ahead of him, Kaibach lunges down the inside and nearly makes contact with Young, and they do make contact as well. That is a barrel roll and a half if you ever did see one.
Yeah, that rolled quite a few times on there, but I don't know. I could kind of see that one coming. Just the way Aiden went into that chicane just didn't look under control, and yeah, just went too deep into the second part of the chicane and launched himself into the side of Kaibach, which, I mean, Kaibach wasn't having a very good race anyway after that contact earlier on, but I think it was Caponio, and that big crash into turn 1, and just had an even bigger crash in the second chicane. But yeah, Aiden Young was having a good race, but let Russell pass into 14th place.
He's got damage on that front left, and that could just hamper any more progression from Young. And well, no race for no limits, but definitely some limitations around Monza when you've incurred damage to your wings. You see that, I think it's the front right, in fact, it looks a bit more higher on the left side. Well, up ahead of them, probably going side by side with Griffin Himwazet, down into turn 1, onto the brakes. He's going to emerge out in front. I think it's going to be Himwazet. No, yeah, it is. Right around the outside of Poggy. Caught the Frenchman napping and nearly into the back of him, where Poggy just carried so much more speed through the corner, despite that compromised line.
Yeah, just looking further back, I think Young's had some kind of incident. I think he went off the track or had a slow down. Yeah, Young's not very happy at all. And yeah, he's not had the best of races. I mean, yeah, he's up 8 places now. But yeah, I think he'd definitely hope to be a bit further up. But I mean, look how far back he is. He's definitely messed up his braking somewhere. And yeah, good thing Russell had a... Oh, my word. That was much bigger than I thought it was. I thought he might have just missed turn 1 slightly, but no, that was absolutely huge. And somehow, I think he's not actually got that much damage from that. He's a very lucky boy. Is Aiden Young. I would have expected his car to implode. But as I said before, these cars are made of titanium, so they can probably handle, I don't know, a nuke to the face if they wanted to.
So our leaders head round Parabolica. Just looking at the clock and looking across to Barney, he's not waving the white flag, so this is the penultimate lap. It's nose to tail. 3 attempts covering our top 3, but look who pulls out from the slipstream. It's Bergerson. He goes early. I was wondering whether he might leave it until the next lap. But Van Paradon just gets a bit squirrely, but Bergson holds on. But now Amour's going to get the jump on Van Paradon potentially. He's got the drive off the corner all the way around Curva Grande. And wow, before he even reaches the true start of the corner, he gets the move done. It's advantage the 2 TNT drivers. Van Paradon loses 2 places and as many corners, but still another lap of racing left to go. This is going to change. Strauss has got ahead of Kulmala as well. He's now up into 6th place. That's a great result from him. He's absolutely flying right now. 14 places. Minot still holds on to the 8th place. Crucial 8th place over Laritzen, but that one's going to come right down to the wire for your win, Inam. And also, who's going to take pole in the reverse grid? I mean, just look at him. Kirk is at 3 seconds. He's too far back. We can probably discredit him unless these two really do entangle with one another. But meanwhile, back up front, we head through towards Ascari, onto the brakes. And despite them being teammates, they are nose to tail right now at Bergson and Amour.
I mean, it's absolutely a joy to watch this. Like, they are inches apart, and this is the thing about top-level racing in any sort of a sport that you do. It's just absolutely fascinating to watch these guys. Are we going to go 3 wide into the last corner? Paradon absolutely sends it into Parabolica, but it's a little bit of an optimistic move, and this is going to allow Bergerson and possibly Amour as well. Is Amour going to make this 3 wide? You just don't know. I think he's going to have to. It's the final lap. They are pushing each other right to the very limit. This is going to be the last lap of racing we're going to get, and I think Amour might be pushing Bergerson along. It's going to be so close. A little bit of contact. We head into turn 1 now. You've got Paradon on the outside, who now has the inside, and he stays ahead in the lead. But it's not over yet. We've got the run from turn 2 all the way down to Curva Grande into the second chicane, and it's going to be advantage Paradon in terms of track position, and you can see Bergerson pushing him to the very, very limit, and more just looking for any opportunity he can to sneak past, and Paradon's going to defend this one aggressively into the second chicane. Bergerson's got to be careful on the brakes, and he does so, and well, we've only got pretty much 1 or 2 overtaking opportunities left. And Tim, I can't call who's going to win this one.
I did wonder. It's a Paradon, a big moment, and he manages to save it and then shuts the door right in Maxon's face. This is going to go down to the wire. Now the Swede's going to have the great run coming out of the second Lesbos there. He pulls out. Van Paradon defends the inside as they race towards Ascari. Amour just sitting, looming in the background, waiting to capitalize on one of these mistakes from one of the top 2 right now. I did wonder whether Van Paradon was maybe having a dress rehearsal as they almost touch wheels heading through Ascari. 2 wide through there. That's not somewhere you go 2 wide. There we go, 3 wide. But Van Paradon, he's lost a bit of time. He's now down to 3rd. He has to dip back in behind Bergerson. And Moore is on the right side of the screen. They go 3 wide again. Here we go. Hold tight, everyone. 1 corner left to go. And Van Paradon straight through the middle of the Bergerson's hugging the inside. And Moore's looking for the cutback. This is potentially going to finish 3 wide. Here we go. Who's going to get it? It's going to come right down to us. They back wheels once again and across the line. Who takes it is Bergerson by 300ths of a second and more. A top 3 covered by under a 10th. What a finish. And that is why we come racing, for moments like that. Absolutely special.
Larissen's out. What's happened to Larissen? Something's happened with Larissen. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if he had contact. Oh no, he's just going incredibly. He might have run out of fuel. That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, that's fuel. You can hear it. He's run out of fuel. That's heartbreaking for the Dane on the last lap. He's run out of fuel. He could have gotten reverse grid pole, but that's absolutely heartbreaking to watch. You have to feel for him. I think Russell's also got some damage as well. You can hear his car's, he's got some drive shaft damage or something. That's not normal. Don't know what's happened with Russell, but he's still going to finish in 15th just about. But yeah, Tim, I think that's one of the closest finishes we've ever had with the top 3 on Apex. Surely it's up there.
I'm trying to dig through my memory now. We've had, I know we quite regularly, it's on the channel tomorrow night, the SRF Weekend Warriors, we quite often see finishes like that. But certainly in an Apex Racing Academy or Apex Racing League, I think that is the closest finish we've probably ever had, or definitely well up there. Under attempt covering our top 3. Says Garrett Spencer. I mean, well, he got up and running. Let's not forget, was it lap 1, lap 2? He was on his roof, upside down. These guys don't actually have a roof, so. Well, to recover back to what was, I think, about 17th in the end, that's not a bad result for him. Definitely take that one. But, I mean, amazed. A fair few drivers not putting enough fuel in their cars, which is a little bit surprising. Maybe Corby and West didn't think it would go the extra lap. It did. Well, I don't know about you. I think I speak for everyone. We are so glad it did. Bergson wins by 300ths of a second. Amor second by Van Paradon second. Amor was only 600ths of a second behind Van Paradon. Under attempt, covering our top 3. Heron, he finishes 4th ahead of Zambra, who had a distinct lack of pace in qualifying and, well, again, in the race, maybe a bit of damage for him. Strauss, after starting right near the back of the grid, he climbs, well, it's an incredible amount of places and ended up finishing in 6th. A really, really strong result from him. Kilmala 7th in the end, Minot picking up the win in Am, and that crucial reverse grid pole. In the end, well, he picked up 2nd place in class. Him was at rounds 80 top 10. Wilson onto the podium here this evening in Am. Then it's Poggy, Young, Walsh, Russell, Toff, Clist, Spence was in 18th. And then Lawrenson in the end, 1 lap down due to running out of fuel. Polliard 1 lap down, then 2 laps down with Caponio Vizcourt. Kaibach was 3 laps down in 23rd, and then Schnabel 5 laps, and Canis Presley. Disappointing for the American incident earlier on, really, really hurting cadence there, and 6 laps off the pace, obviously, these last few retirements. Wow. Now, we did cover it before, and I think we need to cover it definitely now. So we've got a little break between the 2 races. Let's take a look at the championship standings coming into this evening, and we're going to have a little bit of a think about this one. Bergson led the way over Zambra by some, 45 points, and that gap's going to have grown even more so after race 1. Young, a dismal race for him, so he's going to lose some ground to the 2 ahead of him. With Kaibach having a shocking race, likewise did Schnabel, and Moore's going to climb a few places out of that from 6th, with Heron 7th, then Zemsha, Caponio, and Bell going to round out your top 10. There's some real big gainers, some real big losers here out of race 1. From Monza into the AM Championship, and well, this is going to really, really shake things up potentially a little bit here, because Spence, well, him and Laritzen had really, really bad results, so it's not going to really hamper them too much. But with Minot winning in AM, that's going to close the gap up between our top 3. And with 1 round left to go, I think that could be a 3-way fight. And Russell won't be too far off. All it will take is 1 or 2 incidents between our top 3. And he could be right in the shout for potentially a winning championship. That's going to be fascinating to see in a week's time. Kirk is 5th. Then we've got Walsh, Toff, Clist, Poggy, and Valkan to round out your top 10. It's interesting, isn't it? Just how in an instant it can all flip on its head and change, can't it? And it's definitely happening here at Monza. Well, just in time for race 2, and Minot lining up on pole with Kilmala alongside him on the front row. Strauss and Zambra start from row 2, with row 3 being Heron and Amor. Van Paradon and your race 1 winner Bergson start on row 4, with Kirk and him was there rounding out your top 10 on row 5 of the grid. Then it's Wilkinson and Poggy on row 6. Row 7 sees Young and Jay Walsh. Young's the interesting one for me because he's not too far off the cars in front of him, the leaders. So a few moves, he could be right in there and coming through the pack with them. Russell on top log alongside them is Clist and Spence on row 9. Row 10 sees Laritzen and Polliard running at the top 20. Then we've got Caponio and Vizcourt, Kaibach and Schnabel, all German row there on the last complete row. Presley starting from the back of the grid, but everyone has taken their spot. And here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing for the second time this evening from Monza as we are green and we are away racing. Who's going to take it? Is there going to be more incidents? And well, left hung out to dry is Minot on the outside there as everyone moved across nicely to that inside line. Are they going to make it free wide into turn one? Yes, they are. And Minot, what can he do from around the outside? He gets squeezed. He's going to drop at least 2 places, maybe even more on the exit of the corner. Strauss and Kumala ahead of him, and now Minot squeezed right out to the outside once again as Heron trying to come through, and there's been an incident in the background. Presley making up a lot of places, but Kaibak, one of the drivers, caught up in it, and I think maybe even Bicycle and Polyard too. But meanwhile, back at the front, Minot losing another places. They're too wide, they're 3 wide. Don't know where to look, and Minot sends it in. And that's contact for Zambra, and he's off, and that's going to really hurt him. He's got up and racing once again as he joins back into the pack. They're all still pretty much congested as Lauritsen has a look at the inside, and Zambra's going to lose that place there. Sorry, it's him that even apologies. And while they're still even trying to make it 3 wide here through the Lesmos.
Yeah, once again, lap 1 proving to be absolute mayhem. You probably didn't expect anything less, and yeah, Zambra's still probably serving that slowdown that he got from going over the rumble strips, and that's gonna, I mean, it's just, he's just tumbling down the grid from I think he was 4th. Now he's all the way down in 18th. And I mean, we're going side by side through Ascari on lap 1. A good overtake from Poggy, and that's a huge crash. That's Spence again. That's Russell as well. Toth, all involved. That's going to be fairly important for that AM championship. Yeah, and that was Caponio nearly getting wiped out, and yeah, that both championships getting massively shaken up in this race, Tim.
It's going to come all the way down to the wire, isn't it, in a week's time? And wow. Welcome to Formula 4 at Monza. I think there's no other way to put it. And Long Beach in a week's time, a street circuit. That's going to put the cat amongst the pitches even more so potentially. There's into the pits, so Zambra, Bicycle, Caponio, and Kaibak and Clist. More casualties in lap 1 incidents as Van Paradon now. He's got Heron on the outside of him to drivers left, side by side behind him are Minot and Bergeson. Bergeson, I tell you what, I thought he would have made a bit more of an impression and come a few more places. I mean, Van Paradon, he's started next to him, he's up 3 places. Bergeson has only climbed 1, that's only due to Zambra. And his little excursion and his slowdown has more changed it.
Yeah, I think, excuse me, I think possibly Bergeson might be playing this one a little bit safer, considering, you know, he is, I believe, leading the Pro Championship. So he's got a bit more to lose than Paradon, as I don't think Paradon actually is in the championship fight at the moment. There's a car off in the background. I think that's Young. He just about manages to bring it back onto the track safely, but I mean, even though Minot started on the pole, he's basically back to where he was in the first race. And I mean, yeah, he's not as quick as the pros, but I thought he would have held it onto that a little bit better.
He just got hung out to dry on the outside line at all times, didn't he? And then where they went 3 wide into turn 1, he had to back out, which then compromised the speed through the corners and such like. Presley in the background there just getting a bit wild, and Larry coming out through Ascari. Him and Schnabel, they've had cracking starts. They're at 10 places apiece, and they've only haven't completed lap 2 yet. That's how drama-filled it has been here. Time to breathe maybe a little bit. To see someone coming out of the pits, I didn't quite catch who that was, but they've come out right in front of this long train of cars. It's Cliston, well, you see, he grinds to pretty much a halt, trying to keep out of everyone's way. But sometimes this could be a little bit more dangerous for unsuspecting drivers trying to make the moves and get on past. But that's Minot, the next car to get past Clist. He's not making it too more comfortable for the Brit. He would have hoped to have got past him a little bit easier and a little bit more comfortable. But when you're sitting down like that for Clist, it's hard to know what to do for the best.
Yeah, he came out at an incredibly awkward time. Had he come out maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds before or after, it would have been much better. But he's come out right in front of everyone else, which is just making his life really awkward. And you know, he's probably a little bit terrified, you know, seeing all of these cars flying past him, and he knows he's got to move out of the way. and is also probably a bit nervous that he's going to ruin someone's race. So you can kind of sympathise with his position that he's in right now, but hopefully he manages to let everyone pass safely and without incident as we come up to Ascari, as Wilkinson makes his way past the stricken driver, with Young following him behind. And yeah, speaking of Young, Young's had a much better start to this race. He's up a few places, and we'll see what he can do for the rest of this race.
He's inside the top 10, and well, wasn't that he was quite capitalised, and on some of the incidents in front of him, maybe a little bit disappointed by that one, as Clistus remaining on the outside here through Parabolica as Poggy and Kirk head on through. And I've spoken at great lengths about Clist with his team manager Charles Michel, and he's a lovely guy. You know, he desperately doesn't want to get involved in the incident for the leaders, as well. Talking about leaders, Josh and Kamala looking side by side, but they remain as they are. Yeah, Clist, it's the last thing you want to do, isn't it, as a driver? You don't want to take out the leaders, you don't want to interrupt the fight. And it's hard to know what to do for the best of times, but of course, we are racing the blue flags. They're only advisory, aren't they? You don't have to leap out the way F1 style instantly. Although there is, a bit of a caveat within the rules to say, move over a predictable place. There's more there, sends it down the inside of Kulmala, and they make a bit of contact there, maybe even on the exit. And look at this pack that's all over the back of them, and that lead that they had is now absolutely evaporated. Strauss just heads off into the distance, said, I don't want to be part of this, I'm off. See you guys. Now Baron Paradon onto the back of Kulmala. He's got Heron and Bergerson coming along in tow. Tom might not. He's not far behind either. And he's having a solid race, his 7th. He's got a healthy gap as well, of 3.7, 3.8 seconds to Wilkinson, who's second in class. Poggy is running a podium in hand right now. He's down in 11th. As Young just managed to get past him, was there off camera. He's making progress, but big chunks of time for him to make up if he wants to be part of this fight. You just see him in the background there. He's all scrambling, jockeying around, weaving, trying to find the fastest lane possible. It's almost NASCAR style, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to describe it. There's nothing between these guys, and the slipstream just keeping them all really close together, as Strauss is pushing the limits of what he's allowed to do in terms of weaving. But to be honest, weaving, honestly, it just loses you time at a track like this, because he was 0.6 of a second and was still weaving very aggressively. And look, we're still going side by side into turn 1. And that's more on that. I think that was Heron, a Paradon actually, excuse me, who went off the track and made contact with, I think it was one of the TNT cars. And that just goes to show that these are fine margins in this race, and if you misjudge a braking point, it's pretty much game over.
As well, Strauss now has built a lead once again. 2 incidents behind him. It's now out to a second. Well, just dropping down in towards 9/10. In fact, Kirk has got past Poggy in the battle for 3rd in the AM Championship. That's down in 11th place right now. Still climbing his Schnabel. He's up 11 places, up into 13th. He's your highest position. Skaner, that's had an incident, and there's someone off with him. Is that, I can't quite see, is that Wilkinson? It is, that's Jacob Wilkinson.
Yeah, something's happened with him into Lesmo 2. He's going to go side by side with Presley now. Got to be careful there. But from going from, I think I was like 8th or something like that, and he's now all the way down in 15th. I mean, he's not in the championship fight, but it's just giving more positions to the likes of Walsh and Poggy behind. Let me get a replay of what happened here into the first Lesmo we go. I think he might have I think it's contacts. Yeah, it is. I'm not actually sure who that is. It might be Hin, was it?
Yeah, it was him. I mean, that's a bold lunge. It's not somewhere you tend to expect to see someone trying to mount an attack, really. I mean, multi-class racing, yes, but that's where, say, when the prototypes are coming past a GT car, but back up to the front, and the scrappy Plenty is all hopping the coast. That's going to be a big slowdown there, and that is a more, and that could hit him absolutely destroying his race here from a healthy second place as he desperately tries to burn it off out on the outside there. And now they're bearing down on him. They're catching him, Heron, Kamala, and well, they're going to lose places here, and they're all swapping around, so they go 3 wide and they shuffle around. Look who's there. It's Tom Minot, the amp driver, who's up into 5th now. He's keeping his foot in there. He's keeping in the fight alive and well. Van Paradon trying to catch up and capitalize on this slowdown that Amor's had. It's seen him drop all the way from 2nd down to 6th.
Guys, these are the fine margins that I was talking about. One tiny mistake and it can completely flip your race on its head. I think the smartest thing for Minot to do here is just let Amor go, because Minot is in such a spectacular position right now in terms of the championship in AM that if he finishes in 6th, he is going to be right up there for the last round into Long Beach. He might even be leading the championship because Lauritsen isn't having too good of a race at the moment, and
Spence down at 21st.
Yeah.
So this has been a big, well, it's not all over yet, but this is looking like an absolute mammoth points haul for Minot. If you can just keep it all together, keep it on the road, stay out of trouble. As you say, Aaron, I think there's a good chance he could be leading as we head into our final round at Long Beach, and from 3rd to 1st in the championship in 1 round. What a fairy tale story that could be. As right now, while Kamala being pushed by Heron and Bergerson. Well, it's like the NASCAR meme I mentioned about earlier on. It's happening where they're pushing one another. Strauss, he's 2 seconds clear of these guys, but if they keep slipstreaming like this, Aaron, they'll be back up onto him. I mean, we're only just over a third of the way through this race.
yeah, it is a very, very long race, half an hour. And in these Formula cars, you know, they're not used to that. It's a complete change to what they're used to. I think the official races for these are around 20 minutes. Which, yeah, 30 minutes, they're going to have to be running different amounts of fuel, which is why we saw Lauritsen possibly run out of fuel in that first race. So, you know, it really is something to watch out for. And just realised Schnebel up 15 places. Where on earth has he come from?
He's picked him off slowly. He's up to the top. He's a bit of an instant off track. He's well down, all the way down in 23rd right now as the Hungarian. But, I mean, you see just how much shame pushing there as he kicks up the dirt and just dips his wheel out into the gravel on the exit of the second of the 2 Lesmos there. And well, like you say, I mean, had a poorly qualifying, started right at the back, didn't have the best of race ones, and climbing 15 places so far up into 9th. Next driver up for him is Aidan Young, but he's some 6 seconds down the road. Meanwhile, a bit further up front, Bergson has got past Minot in that ever-evolving group. That's the epic battle that's being played up for 2nd place. And if we're going to see the grandstand finish for 1st, like we saw in race 1, it's all going to be about that battle for 2nd as well. They're talking about people who've had torrid times here at Monza. That's another one in the form of Zambra, all the way down in 18th. That slowdown, it's just cost him so dearly, and then it's been from bad to worse since then, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, those slowdowns can kill your race. They really can, especially in the earlier parts. It can put you amongst the chasing pack. And if there's some incidents up ahead, or if the pack isn't as quick, it can destroy your race. And Zambra is so far behind the cars in which...
left!
On the main straight. Yeah, oh, dear. Weisercore nearly running into Kybak. I don't know how he's done that on the main straight. We are 100% going to have to get a replay of that at some point. That was strange, to say the least. But here goes Weisercore on Kybak into turn 1. That was extremely deep. They've made contact. And I think that's 100% on Weisercore. He was just too deep, too much speed. And, oh dear, what's going on here? Oh, no. Yeah, you can... Yeah, we both know what this is about, Tim. This is not something we like to see at all. And I hope that these two can just keep their cool. As I think Kybak seems to be extremely annoyed with Weisercore. And there's more contact.
Wow. Saw that one coming a mile off there.
Yeah. That's a real shame.
Weisercore seemed to open the throttle on the entry into turn 1 Rare Filio. And I don't know if there's been a bit of bad blood between those two previously. Bergson's got ahead of Kamala. Meanwhile, up front, and well, I'm sure. Well, there's no sure about it. The stewards will definitely be looking into that one post-race. I was still fascinated what happened to Presley. Like you say, how he managed to bin it in a straight line. That's normally something I'm reserved for, not someone of the quality of Kenneth Presley. Getting for the American, he's had an absolute shocker this weekend. Didn't get a lap time in qualifying. And oh, well, that's Bronco rodeo style there across the sausage curves to Cool Marla, and he's going to have to lose even more time as he waits. That's it. He's checked out. He's had enough. Right, black marker of doom. That's enough. Right, we're going to find out after all the drama.
All right, let's. Here we go. On the main straight we go, and maybe a hardware.
Hardware failure.
Yeah, that's he either completely just lost concentration, or hardware failure.
There you go.
And,
that's what happened.
Yeah,
look, that's what started the bad blood off between these two.
Yeah, just I don't really understand this. I think Court still made a mistake. I don't think that contact into turn 1 was on purpose, but then I think this from Kaibak was a bit.
Well, you can see the open games there, and yes, not something we like to see at all.
Not at all.
It's just hurting the both of them. There we go. That's what happens sometimes in racing. As well, to take a bit of a sit rep, we've had a lot of drama. Just over half race distance here from Monza in race 2. Right now, just seeing Lauritsen, Wilkinson, and Walsh, 3 ham drivers scrapping it away. And Lauritsen says, well, there's a slight gap there. I'm going to slot my car in it. Thank you very much, Wilkinson. And now, next up is Walsh for Lauritsen. If you can try and dispose of him. To fair, him was set not too far away. These 3, I'm sure they'll be working together, and they can easily pick off the pro driver in rapid time. He's only 1.2 seconds up the road from Walsh, so more the chances. Minot's just got past Minot's just got past them more, and he's now up into 4th. He's on the chance here for a podium overall. Heron's got away from these guys. He's what, some 1.5 seconds ahead of Bergerson. Minot's about half a second behind Bergerson. And then we're more 2 tenths behind Minot, so they're incredibly close in that battle for last of the podium positions right now. Brent's playing an impeccable place as the AM driver Tom Minot right now. Despite playing with the big boys in terms of iRating and difference between some of these drivers. Putting in contrast, Bergson 6,300, and more 4,600, and Tom Minot just a casual 2,200, rocking it and absolutely wrapping it right now for the lower iRating guys, right in amongst the big boys, coming out to play and put the cat amongst the pigeons. It's lovely to see. We love a good underdog story, and it's really being played out. Schnabel's climbed another couple of places. He's up to 16 now.
Yeah, Schnabel has just quietly been keeping his nose clean and just gaining the places, and I think Weisercourt and Kaibak are going to blows once again. Hopefully they can keep their heads cool and keep it on the track this time, and I believe they have for now. But yeah, Minot really is having an absolute stormer of a race so far, and yeah, like you said, Tim, you always love to see 1 or 2 AMs, pop up occasionally in the top spots, and it's just so, it just puts a smile on your face. It's just nice to see, and I'm not sure he'll be able to put a challenge onto Bergerson, but I mean, nevertheless, if he could just keep it cool, keep it in 4th, he's going to be laughing all the way to the bank with the amount of points he's gotten today. Oh, hello.
That's it. I spy a slowdown.
He's Minot's in the podium places. The AM driver, incredibly.
It's moments like this that, it's like when George Russell got to the podium in a very wet Spa. Okay, it was a mitigating circumstances for Williams. It's like in 2016 we had an LMP2 lead over, I think it was 2016 or 2017, with an LMP2 lead overall for a couple of hours at Le Mans. It's all up there. Mitchell Drysdale in the Apex Racing League GT3 Championship last season took the overall championship despite being a Pro-Am driver. Fascinating stuff. We love a good underdog story here, and it's being played out for you live right now here from Monza. But the trouble is, when you're in that position, and you've got two cars behind you, sometimes you're the sitting duck where they're just slipstreaming off you.
Yeah, I think these pros are probably wondering what on earth Minot is doing up there with them, and I think Minot is also probably scared out of his mind that someone's going to ruin his race, and he is taking it incredibly easy. He's not fighting too hard, he's just picking and choosing his moments, which I think is a smart thing to do. And honestly, there's someone doing donuts in the pit lane.
Bicycle. Okay.
I think, yeah, Visacor might have had some kind of incident and came back in the pits. Visacor's had he's had a very strange race, hasn't he? He's not been 100% in this race as we go into Turn 1 again. Bergerson ahead of Minot, ahead of Amor, and Amor's probably getting a little bit frustrated now, being stuck behind this AM. And yeah, there's gonna be smoke on the main straight probably for the rest of this race unless Visacor runs out of fuel, or if someone can remove him from the race. But nevertheless, you get a free smoke screen on the main straight, I guess. But here's the battle for 14th place.
You think you've seen it all, and then something else happens. Seen a lot of crazy things, and well, so up there, Zambra, not where he's normally used to battling. That's Jay Walsh just ahead of him as the donut's still going on. Here's Michael Kaiback.
Oh no.
He's going to be in for a drive-through.
Yeah.
Because he's got, which is why I thought Visacor had come into the pits in the first place. Has elected just to burn the tyres out, and wow, yeah, that's absolutely many a crazy thing. And that's definitely one thing I haven't seen. Well, there we go. Anyhow, Tom Minot still in fourth, Bergson just getting away from him, and more being held at bay from Minot. What's happening behind them? Well, Young, Van Paradon, just, they're just nibbling away at this gap between the head of them. Last time around, Aaron, 7/10 quicker were Young and, well, there was Van Paradon, apologies, I'm looking, yeah, no, I was looking at the right time. Scrap that, Timothy. Have a conviction in what you're saying here. So, 6/10, Young was quicker than Amor. Van Paradon was about half a second, so they are definitely closing in. This could not be done undusted here for fourth place, and it takes as well. I mean, Bergson's had a few slowdowns this race. Meeting he's clearly got it within him, and another one, if it creeps in, that could then throw out that battle for third place completely wide open. But unaware to everything that's happened behind him is Tommy Strauss, who's just since getting in front has walked away with this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you just about manage to pull out of the slipstream. You have to make the best of it. You quite literally have to put in qualifying laps. And I think all of us have been in that situation where you're teetering on the edge of slipstream and you know that you have to push like crazy to secure it and just get ahead. And he did that. He's stayed clean throughout this whole race. And, well, we've still got a little bit of time left, around 6 minutes to go. But, I mean, 3 seconds, unless he makes a mistake or Heron puts in record-breaking laps, I think Struess has got this one pretty much sealed and done. But don't count it out. It's F4. We've seen crazier things happen this season, so I probably just jinxed him. So, there you go.
Just in the background there, Van Paradon pulling alongside Young on the race down to Ascari. In fact, he's got them done there. So very down to Parabolic as they came out of Ascari even. Young tries to instantly reclaim it, having a bit of a look there into Parabolic. Thinks twice against it. Not normally the best of moves unless it's a last lap or lunge. Which, well, Van Paradon was definitely involved in at the end of race 1. If you miss out Should we head back and take a look at exactly how that would have gone? The top three coming across the line, separated by under a tenth across all three of them. Fascinating to see, and there we go, that's Young back in front of Van Paradon, but I do wonder if these two are deliberately doing this and are slipstreaming one another. If they are, it's working because they've just taken another 4 attempts out of them more. So that gap is shrinking. Now, talking about side by sides, Kirk and Poggy, this is for second and third in AM, 9th and 10th overall right now. It's all getting a little bit loose there was Kirk, and that's going to allow Poggy to come straight back out and reclaim that place if he can keep his car alongside through curve for Grande.
Yeah, a little bit of a few battles going on up and down the grid, but this is for second place in AM. I think not going to be too much of a dent into the championship, as Poggy is a little bit too far down to put it in a challenge for the championship, and I think Kirk as well. He's up there a little bit higher than Poggy, but not quite as much as the likes of Minot and Lauritsen. But yeah, like I said a few rounds ago, that AM championship really, it really is spicing up to be something interesting, and this round has proven that even more, as Spence looks to be the one to beat for the start of the season. Then, you know, it moved over to Minot and Lauritsen, and back to Spence. It just shifts every race. And after Spence has had a pretty poor last 2 rounds, going into Long Beach, it's anyone's game. Like, especially with this longer race format. Long Beach is going to be... you just don't know. You can't predict anything in this league.
I think it is as well, even if you're well out in front, all it takes is one tap of the wall. With single-seater cars, that's your race done and dusted. Through no fault of your own. It all happens to the best of us, and even the worst of us. And, wow, that throws it all completely wide open. Sit rep, what is happening between these two and how they're catching on the pack in front of them. That's another 4 attempts chiseled away. 2.1 seconds is now the gap with 3 minutes left on the clock. We're going to have, wow, this is going to be the penultimate lap. I don't know if they're going to have done enough to catch on to the back of Amor, who's in fact dropping away from Minot, who's in turn catching up onto the back of Bergson in these closing stages. Minot's got he's sniffing that chance on the podium overall. He can almost reach out and touch it. And if he can keep his car there, and he keep chiseling and nibbling away at the gap between himself and Bergerson. He was a 10th closer last time around, but he is getting more and more into that slipstream, isn't he? That gap's going to start to tumble. We saw it in race 1 and even race 2 with the leaders here opening up 8, 9, 10 second gaps, and then all of a sudden being enveloped by the cars behind them where they were slipstreaming off one another.
Yeah, the slipstream here is just make or break. Even in these lower Formula cars where, you know, they're not producing as much downforce as the likes of Formula 3 or any other category, you know, it is still so powerful at the Temple of Speed. I mean, yeah, it's where it gets its name from. It's one of the fastest circuits in the world, and it's a slipstream fest, and produces racing, I think it's fair to say, like no other track. I think that's probably a fair assumption to make, but I mean, this is a battle that no one could have predicted between Minot and Bergerson for the final podium spot here. I think we're on the penultimate lap of this race, and well, what does Minot do? Does he try and go for the attack on Bergerson, or does he just settle for 4th?
It's a fascinating conundrum being played out right now. Sensing some bit of it's running out a little bit between Van Paradon and Young here. They are still closing in to the back of Amor, but start to get a little bit more elbows out, a little bit more aggressive. So then they come onto the brakes. So I get the feeling these two are going to keep swapping around places pretty much every 3 corners. Van Paradon, oh, nearly into the back, just had to get onto the brakes a little bit more to avoid contact there with Young. I think this is blowing their chance of catching up with a more 2.4 seconds to gap. Yeah, it definitely is. In fact, last time around, oh, Young just having a bit of a moment then.
Not sure. He looks.
I'm sure he just swerved across the right-hand side of the track.
He might have done. I mean, I don't know if I'm going crazy, but oh dear, yes he did. Oh, good, well spotted, Tim. Yeah, he nearly lost it. Lost it? That's not the word. He nearly lost it on the exit of the first Lesmo, and yeah, wow. I think we've seen that a few times during the course of this race, and I think we saw it a few times in the last race as well. But Struess, it's going to be close to whether this is going to be the final lap or not. I think it actually is. He's not going to have enough time. It's the checkered flag for Struess, who comes across the line then to win the second race here in Monza, and he's done an absolutely fantastic job. And Bergerson just manages to hold on to third. And yeah, we didn't even realize it was the final lap. I thought they would have just...
It was so close. I didn't see the white flag actually out, to be fair, as they came across the line. And, well, it was sometimes when it's just that close, it just, iRacing just has a bit of a moment and can't decide, is it going to be, is it not? So, that was it. We're well done and dusted. Struess wins from Heron and Bergerson. Minot in the end, under 2 tenths behind Bergerson at the line, but still 4th overall for the ARA driver. A great result for him with all of his championship rivals. Well, Laritza's come across the line, taking the checker in 12th. And, well, where is Garrett Spence? There he is. He's going to, well, quite over. Pollard could catch him here, but looking like he's going to come across the line in 16th. So, wow, the AM Championship's flipped on its head massively here at Monza. Wow, yeah, it's definitely got done and dusted. Look how much Pollard is catching him. Going to go for the long way round. Can he get it done on the run to line? He's going to carry the speed. He's going to carry the momentum as they drag it out here. This is not sorted. I think Pollard's going to snatch it away right at the depth from Spence. And yes, he has. 2 tenths in the end. In fact, the gap between those two.
Yeah, we've had some close finishes today in this race. I think, I mean, it doesn't compare to the first race, obviously, with the top 3 being separated by around 1/10 of a second. But yeah, well, we've had some very interesting racing today with this different format that we're using. But yeah, this means that Long Beach is going to be even more fascinating than we initially thought.
Here are your results from race 2. Struess takes the victory from Heron. Bergerson ran out your podium. Tom Minot, your victor in and 4th overall. Nearly crept his way onto the podium overall. So a great result for the British driver. And more finishes in 5th. There's Young, Van Paradon, Schnabel, Poggy and Kirk, 9th and 10th respectively. 2nd and 3rd in class ran out that AM podium. That's him was at Lauritsen, Wilkinson, Zambra. What a disappointing round he's had. Walsh, Pollard, Spence, he's had a shocker too. In terms of drivers right up there in their respective championships. Kaibat comes home in 18th. Kliss 19th, then it's Toff, Russell, Vizakor, obviously into the retirements now. Russell, Vizakor, Kulmala, we lost in lap 9. Presley on lap 8, and Caponio back on lap 2. I think let's have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers now. Well, who to pick? I think first off, let's take a chat with and get some initial reaction from our race 2 winner, Tommy Struess. Congratulations! I mean, what a race that was. I mean, it looked like it took a while for you to take control of it, but eventually, due to the battle behind, I think, would you say that played a key part in you being able to just get away and get out of the slipstream?
Thank you. Yeah, I think really when I defended off my teammate, that caused some chaos behind and managed to get a gap and stay consistent and pull slightly away at the end.
Let's talk about race 1. You started down in 20th.
Yeah.
Didn't get a lap time in qualifying. I mean, 6th place. I mean, just talk about how you managed to achieve that, because we were keeping a bit of progress and half an eye on how you were doing as you were coming through the field. That's to make it 14 places. That is a massive result.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good race. Unfortunately didn't get a lap in quali, but I just thought, yeah, let's go to the front, and didn't really look back in any laps in the race. So yeah, it was good.
Long Beach next week. I mean, that's going to be a complete and utter lottery around that street circuit. You feeling confident?
I've never driven them before, so yeah, gonna get
Okay.
some time in the track and hopefully get another good result there.
Well, I wish you all the very best. I think you'll need it, and I think you'll find the wall definitely while you're practicing numerous times. So that's your race to a winner, Tommy van der Straes. And well, who are you standing by with for a chat with, Aaron?
Thank you.
I mean, we spoke about them so often in the race. I can't resist the temptation. I mean, 4th place in AM is just. I mean, we were talking about the underdog throughout the entirety of this race, and you know, Tom, just talk us through your mindset as an AM driver. You know, at the start you got a bit overtaken by some of the pros, but towards the end of the race you started to fight back.
Yeah, I fully expected it. I've done other Apex series before where I've been classified as an AM, and I think as soon as people see the number 2 in front of your name, they act quite quickly to get past you. So for me, I wasn't expecting. I didn't read the rules. I didn't really expect that I was starting on pole, so that was a bit of a shock. And also I had a bit of an issue before the race where my Formula rim wasn't working, so I had to switch over to a round rim, which I haven't used in a long time, and it also meant that I didn't have my clutch paddles mapped, so I had to go back to a pedal clutch. So I managed to get a good start away, but I knew I was going to get people going past me, and that was fine. But it was all about how long could I stick with the pack, and maybe there's 3 occasions in the second race where it looked like I was just about to lose the toe, and then fortunately people decided to go side by side through a chicane, and you know the pack checked up a little bit, so I got very, very lucky. But I do think because I was being a bit more cautious, I'm not sure who the driver ahead of me was. Was it Theodore Bergerson? I did think I felt like through the what's the final corner called? Parabolica. I felt through Parabolica towards the end of the race, his front left must have been struggling a little bit because he kept pushing wider, and I was getting a much better run out of there. And maybe I should have lined up a move 1 or 2 laps before, but I'm pretty sure he would have had me. But I tried to look after the tyres, and it did seem like at the end I had a little bit of pace, which was great. But I'm super chuffed. Really happy with the results. I had no practice this week because I've just flown back in from holiday at like 1 o'clock yesterday evening. So it was a bit of a disaster, but in terms of practice and preparation, but results are great. So I'll probably just chuck my rig on the floor and try and win next week.
Well, I mean, even better, no practice, and you came away with an absolutely stonking victory in AM. But going into Long Beach, I believe you might be leading the AM Championship. You'll definitely be up there at least. Do you think?
For me. No, I don't think so. No, I think with the count back, I think the VIR result will be the thing that screws me, because I missed last week, and VIR, I had a baby. My baby woke up basically both times during the race. My baby wanted to was going, and it distracted me, and I'm not gonna. It's my fault because I got distracted and had to be fair for the baby. But it was that result will carry forward as far as I'm aware in terms of the eight best scores, and I think that will be so negative that it will probably drop it out. But it's been an amazing championship, and I think Askey, Garrett Spence, I'm trying to think, Kirk, there's a couple of others. It's been a brilliant AM championship actually, so it's kind of a little bit sad it's coming to an end because I could do this all week. It's, it's really good. So
well, I mean, you say you might not be in the fight, but I mean, everyone else who is in the fight for the championship didn't have a great race. So it will be interesting to see next week at Long Beach, nevertheless. But before we let you go, Tom, any final thoughts, any final words, and anyone?
Thanks to all the guys for putting on the league, because obviously we're coming to an end. So yeah, it's been well run and well managed. I've already said thank you to all the AM drivers been racing with. It's been awesome, and thanks to my wife for allowing me an hour on the sim rig, and baby Owen for staying asleep during the race, which is awesome. And hopefully we can get a repeat next week. But whatever happens next week, it would have been an awesome championship, and look forward to season 3.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Tom, and good luck for next week.
Cheers.
Next up is a driver who's had to do it the hard way. Didn't get a lap time in qualifying and then had to recover numerous times. Aidan Young now joins us for a bit of a chat. 10 places in the first race, and then 7, I think it was, in race 2. I mean, real tough out there, wasn't it, today? Especially, I mean, just seemed to run out of luck. I caught you a couple of times in qualifying, just being caught by off-track limits having your times deleted?
Yeah, in qualifying, I actually had a quality ban, so I set out for qualifying. So just skip qualifying and then went into heat. Like, okay, gonna try and gain as many places that I can. But when I went to grid, my screen froze, so I wasn't allowed to grid. I had a bit of connection issues, and then it stayed frozen, and then it popped up right as the lights came on. So I had to start from pit lane, obviously, which put me 12 seconds behind the field. So then I had a bit of catch up to do, and I caught up pretty quickly, and then from there just started moving forward.
We were talking about it at the start of the race. You started from the pits, and actually, sometimes especially at Monza, it either comes off in your favour or it doesn't work at all. And actually, it definitely came off in your favour, didn't it? There was a lot of, I'm sure when you go back and look at it, and I'm sure you saw from your relative, a lot of incidents, and you're able to capitalise from them. Whereas if you'd started on the grid, there was a good chance you might have got caught up in them.
Yeah, I was looking ahead of me the entire race, so if I caught up a pack of cars or a train of cars, I wasn't looking at the guy right ahead of me. I wasn't doing tunnel vision. I was using all my peripheral vision, looking at least a car or two cars in front of that guy that was right in front of me, and obviously that helped me catch the other guys, because if you use tunnel vision and you look at the guy that's just right in front of you, sure, you might catch him, but you're less likely to catch the other guys that are in front of him. Whereas if you're looking at the other guys that are in front of that guy, that's where you're gonna go, and you're gonna go forward. So I made sure to do that in the entire time. It paid off, and each time I did it, I got a position or two, and when I got one, I was like, okay, let's get to the next one. Now let's get the next guy. Let's keep doing this. Let's keep this pace up and try and get as far up as I can.
But it definitely worked to great effect in both the races of 13th up 10 places in race 1, and started obviously 13th then in race 2 up into 6th. Absolutely, as comebacks go, that's not bad going at all, and definitely damage limitations. Aiden Young from Monza. If you managed to grab next for a chat there, Naren.
Well, I believe this might be just one more that we've got time for, and I'm going to go with Zambra. Just quite interested to talk to him, actually. After not the best day from the Swiss driver, it must have been hugely frustrating when you got that slowdown and put you right down the pecking order.
Yeah, it was frustrating, and the whole day today, I mean, Monza race, didn't went like I wanted, and I hadn't had the slipstream in quali, which was the first thing. Yeah, and then in the races I just had bad luck with contacts. And yeah, I mean, Theodore did a very, very good job. He's a very good and young, talented driver, and yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you're a bit defeated after that race, and I do not blame you at all. It must be hugely frustrating, but we've still got one more round to go next week at Long Beach. And do you think you'll be able to show everyone who's boss there as we head to California?
Yeah, I mean, Long Beach is one of my favorite tracks, and I'll try to get the pole position there, and probably I can also do it, but we will see how it will go. And yeah, the reverse grid will be a problem there because it's pretty hard to overtake.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough challenge for sure. But just on a word, do you think you'll still be able to fight for this Pro Championship, or is it just full send for the final race?
I mean, I will just do the full send for me. I don't even care about the championship anymore. I will just focus on myself and do a good last race in the Formula 4 championship, and yeah, trying to show myself somehow. But yeah, I will just try my best, and of course, I have to say it again, Theodore is a very good driver there, and he deserves it.
Well, you're both massive talents in this, I can assure you. But before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to, anyone you'd like to thank?
I want to give a shout out to the people supporting me, people at the team, and also those at home watching the race right now. I know my family is watching it, so shout out to them.
Well, thank you for talking us, Sambra, and keep your head held high, mate, and good luck for next week.
Thank you, Aaron. See you.
That is all we've got time for here this week from the Apex Racing Academy Formula 4 Championship from Monza. Wow, what a race it has been. Drama-filled from start to finish across the 2 races. Congratulations to Bergson winning race 1 and then Strauss picking up that victory in race 2. Well, 1 week's time. It's the final round of the championship. We'll be live. I've been Tim Cox with Aaron Smith and Samir Kulo, and we will see you in a week's time. We head across to North America and the good old US of A from Long Beach. We'll see you then.
For turn 1, I think he's sitting back now. Smart thing to do. This last chicane is not the best.